Hello and welcome to the Warhammer Meta Chasers. This is your biggest and best tournament hype show where we actually talk about the biggest and best tournaments coming up over the weekend. My name is Paul, your host, joined by Adam Camilleri
Evening, everybody.
and Dustin Henshaw.
Evening, folks.
We are live. If you're listening to this after the fact, thank you very much. If you're here with us live, know that you're a part of one of the best chat communities on the internet, certainly in Warhammer lands. And we have three great events to talk about this week. I'm going to talk about the Flames of Autumn. I guess it's still autumn.
Two events. But yeah. Shout out to
autumn?
Is it? I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the world is over there. Right here, we're still autumn. We're still autumn for 1 more month.
It's basically summer in Australia all the time, isn't it?
Flames of Autumn is where War Games Live is going to be.
That's correct.
Okay. So we're doing the shout out of that. We're going to talk about the California Cup and the GT Talavera. That's the events we're going to talk about.
Ooh, and the GT Talavera. I don't know if you guys remember us talking about this one last year, but that is the biggest teams event in the world. Over 500 people playing there this weekend in the Iberian Peninsula. That should be a great rundown.
Wow. Thanks to the chat keeping us honest. The winter does not start until December 21st. I got confused because it got down to 30 degrees here in Georgia. So that's like winter is here.
Wait, is that true? December? No, it can't. It starts 4 days before Christmas.
Winter is December, January, and February.
Yeah.
But December 21st, though?
It's got to be like the winter solstice or something.
You're making that up, KR. No way.
I'm sure everyone listening to us on there.
I do question whether the seasons change on this one day.
That's also
every
true.
year.
I mean, according to us, they do, but the actual seasons and the weather,
it does.
Oh, okay.
It does.
Sun's like,
gotta
go, guys.
And where I'm from, it can be, twice a week, 3 times a week, every day.
Amazing.
But anyway, I'm glad we've solved that. I want to give a shout out also to the Raccoon Rumble in Hof, Germany, 174 players, 6-round event. Warhammer happening all over the place.
Well, Europe is absolutely popping off. There's some decent-sized British events as well. As you know, Europe having almost 200 people in the mainland, then the Iberian Peninsula has got another 550 odd. Absolutely cranking it.
Talking about Warhammer happening around the world, coming up very soon in Atlanta is going to be the World Championships of Warhammer.
Who's going to be there? Dustin, are you going to be there?
Wow, you start with me, really?
It's because the other two of us are going to be there, baby.
It's going to be hard not to want to jump in. That's what this really is. It's between the narrative and between all the high level competition you're going to see there. Being shouted by some voices you might recognize, but you got to come over to the Games Workshop live stream on Twitch to check that out.
I mean, if you're listening to us now, you're definitely going to recognize them.
Yeah. So let's get into the events we are actually covering. I'm wondering if some of these players are playing in these events, maybe doing a little practicing before they get to go represent their country in the first ever event of its kind. Let's talk about this California Cup from San Diego, California. 106 players, 9-round event.
That's a lot of rounds. Today. Exactly. That's a lot of rounds per player, by the way. So that is
a lot of rounds.
Yeah, that's wild. But anyway, Dustin.
All right. The Imperial Super Faction, there are 2 Sisters of Battle, 3 Custodes, 5 Astra Militarum, 5 Grey Knights, and 1 Imperial Knight. Space Marines are 6 Adeptus Astartes, 4 Dark Angels, 3 Blood Angels, and 5 Black Templars. Chaos, there's 10 Chaos Space Marines, 3 T-Suns, 6 Death Guard, 1 World Eater, 2 Demons, and 4 Chaos Knights. Xenos, there's 1 Necron, 8 Orcs, and 8 Tau, 1 Votan. Then Hive Mind, there's 6 Tyranids and 2 Genestealer cults. Eldari, there's 1 Drukhari and 10 Eldari, meaning the faction podium is Eldari and CSM topping it off with 10. No surprise there. However, Orcs and Tau in second with 8 apiece. And then Tyranids, Death Guard, and Astartes in third with 6.
Very wild.
That is wild. The top 2, that's...
Yeah.
Whatever. That's expected. Yeah, whatever. Of course that is. But everything else, that's wild. The Orcs and Tau, what is going on here? Like, those are 2 very different armies.
Is it player place terrain?
I do believe it is. We actually have Kyle Norman in the chat, I believe, who actually helped me out with the stats. Kyle, to jump in and let us know if you know what the terrain format's going to be, because I did forget to ask you, and I definitely should have. But yeah, I would assume this is held and run by the Xenos Petting Zoo great club out of California. And so I would assume it was ITC, or so player placed, but
it is
I don't want to make that
according
assumption.
to them in the chat.
Mhm.
Beautiful.
I am surprised there are not more Votan. Votan have actually been putting up some really good numbers, and
yeah.
folks been trying to dial in what that army list should look like. And it's a new army, and the people that started jumping on that collection are probably looking. I would suspect they were looking to bring it out, so I'm surprised there are not more in attendance. Maybe the number of rounds is the deterrent there.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, 9 rounds definitely. When I see a 9-rounder, I'm like, probably a little bit more knights, maybe the 10% uptick in knights. People just being like, I'm old, I'm not doing 9 rounds of whatever.
Well,
But the same
your
can
trick
be
just
said.
doesn't work 9 times in a row for every army.
That's true as well. That is
Against
also
different
very true.
people, it could.
But it's less.
Saying
It's
the
less
odds are
likely.
in my opinion, the odds become increasingly against you.
Oh, yes.
As the tournament goes on. But I could be. Look, this is a little bit of assumptions. Of course, I'm making some assumptions, but and I don't even know that would be the case with Votan. It's like, but I feel like that even though the Votan are on the rise, it still seems to be kind of somewhat matchup dependent.
It's
Well,
interesting
another one
because in
gets-
player plays, I always find that like mixed armies that have some good CC to take objectives, movement, and shooting combined are the ones that benefit the most from player plays terrain. Votan has that. Maybe Berserkers aren't as good as they used to be, but I do have that.
Yeah, that's fair also. But the same could be said from what Paul is saying about Necrons, who've been doing extremely well all over the world. And here they are, there's a single Necron out of 100 players. That's absolutely wild. Whereas, we're still looking at 10% Chaos Space Marines, 10% Eldari. These aren't surprisings at all. The Death Guard is. The Death Guard is very surprising. And we'll see at the teams event coming up, Death Guard are having a huge resurgence this weekend across these 2 events and possibly a couple of others as well. But anything you guys got going for Death Guard at the moment that makes you think that they've got a bit more gas in the tank than we've seen previously? Because of course we did see their resurgence. We did see that resurgence. We did see that little wave after the balanced data set. The numbers got really healthy again. But I haven't seen, I guess, results to back up the players going back in there.
I've found them to be more of one of those spoiler armies too. They may not have the tools to beat everybody because they'll struggle against a couple armies. I think they struggle against, ironically, CSM.
Yes,
and Eldar, but everybody else
it's not good.
The only army that can actually give you essentially a -2 to hit them because they minus your weapon skill and give you -1 to hit. Like that's the only army that really does that. And anybody that normally hits on like 4s or 5s, that hurts.
So were you both chalking up the really good Orc and Tower numbers to purely being player place terrain, as in both sides of that coin? I can place to have good firing lanes as the Tower player, and I can place to have good staging points as the Orc player?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, yes.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's pretty much,
that's all I got. How much we got to say about that? Like, it's true.
They
both benefit
from
from it because, like you're saying, one needs to do a certain type of terrain they can do on their side, the other does the other way, and we have a game still. We haven't seen much player placed in 10th though, so it's interesting to see that in a bigger event like this. I want to see how it turns out, see how people feel about it.
Let's jump into some lists.
Let's do it. All right, so I do have 3 for your viewing pleasure, and I gotta say this event is stacked. We have quite a few WTC alum and current players. In first up being Anthony Vanella, the single World Leaders player in attendance out of 100. He's got his Berserker Warband. He represented Team America coming in 2nd this year at the WTC, and then I think he's already listed as being a playing member for next year as well. He's got Angron and Khan, a Lord Invocatus, a Lord on Juggernaut with Favored of Khorne, and a Master of Executions with the Berserker's Glaive. He's got 10 Jackals, 2 units of Berserkers, one of which will get the Invocatus, one of which will get the Master of Executions, and they'll both be going in Rhinos. Oh, sorry, the one will get Khan rather, and one will get the Master of Executions. Both are going in Rhinos. A unit of regular 8-bound, and then a unit of 3 and a unit of 6 8-bound. Now, this is an interesting. I think it's an interesting take because what we've seen is a lot of multiple min-max units of 8-bound, like here's a bunch of 3s and one and a single 6, and then either we've seen 1 Rhino with the Berserkers and the Master Executions, or we've seen 2x10 Zerkers with the Khan and whatnot. It feels like this list is a little light on the ground, but everything is absolutely savage.
Yeah, he brought like every single character that you can. That
he did.
He brought too.
He brought all the killing and none
every
of the bodies.
single killing.
which is a
Karn being there,
testament
that's
to.
something we have not seen in every list.
That's true.
Yeah, Khan's making a bit of a resurgence, and I'm not sure whether he's better with the 5-man or the 10-man Zerkers. I've seen him more with the 5 than the 10, but I couldn't tell you why that is. I don't have any knowledge of that. All I know is that when I look at this list, this is a player that I think backs themselves as a general because they haven't taken much fat on the bone. Everything they've got is a lethal unit, and they expect to be able to use them all well. And that's what I get when I read something like this. There's not multiple units of jackals. There's no cultists. There's no spawn units. There's no little nonsense to go and do stuff. Everything's just there, and it's got a single thing, and he's gonna execute or he's not.
I dig this, and we know this player is capable of, pushing forward and keeping that just like willpower in the game. We've seen it, I think in Kansas at the team event. I actually saw him play,
Yep.
and then also in previous armies on the Open Series. Just with a real great resolve, great generalship on the table, and that style of play benefits you when you have fewer models to mess around with because
Yeah.
if you make one wrong decision, you could lose a whole table side.
Yeah, and it really we say this a lot when you read a list every now and then. You're like, this is a confident list. This is a list that looks like the player's confident in their faction. And also, like, I mean, I'm pretty much comparing this to Jack Harp's Tampa list that you and I called, Paul, where he had a lot of similar elements, but it felt like he had twice as many units on the table, like starting on the table. He only had the 1 Rhino with the 1 unit of Berserkers. Then he had like 2 or 3 units of 3 8-bound or Exalted 8-bound with the big unit and some more nonsense here, there, and everywhere. But yeah, this is going to be a very strong list. And let's hit that next one, because I think next one is Mr. Nick Nanavati. I hear he likes to go to celebrations. He's playing Heretic Astartes with his Slaves of Darkness detachment. He's got the ubiquitous 3 Chaos Lords with Cypher, which is a nice little hot take. I like that a lot. A unit of 10 Cultists, 3 Rhinos for all the Chosen that you're about to see, which is a single unit of 10 and 2 units of 5. And then he's got 2 Forge Fiends, 3 units of 2 Obliterators, and 2x3 Nurglings. Now, of course, Cypher's in there, does bring the Vect, does bring some nuance and some jank to this list. There are a bunch of very strong players, including Inez Wilson, also in attendance at this event, coming over from Scotland, playing a very similar list, but he's got more of a conventional take. He had Celeste in there, and I can't remember if it was the Blue Scribes and some Nurglings as well. But this is a little bit conventional, a little bit less conventional. So less points spent in the ally slot, like no allied characters, no Changeling, no Celeste, no Blue Scribes. He's taken Cypher essentially instead of that, I guess. And then he's got 2 more Obliterators than I usually see. Usually we see 2x2 lately, haven't we, boys?
We have
2x2 is usually, well, I don't want to say all you need, but it kind of is all you need. 3, it's more stuff to kill. Like I don't see why you wouldn't take more.
He took that Notlith crown out of his list, so he had a few more points to spread around.
Hey, there you go.
What a meme lord. It turns out he can play a good list every now and then.
We were sitting around eating grilled cheese sandwiches. Real story, by the way.
Yeah, that's fair.
He's like, should I try to keep trying to press the edge or whatever? I'm like, look, man, World Champs is coming up. Get all that stuff. Get all the stuff out.
Get the nonsense out of your system. Focus. Get in the zone. But yeah, this is an extremely good list. Anybody who wants to seriously just copy paste a top tier CSM list into their whatever app, just take out Cypher and use it. Pretty much it's exactly the same. You can exchange Cypher for any Demon's loan up character. It's exactly the same thing, because essentially Cypher is the same stuff as the Blue Scribes, as a Changeling. They're all loan up characters, but they just do different things. Some do some models, some do some I'm going to turn off your shooting or whatever. Cypher has a Vex.
Cypher looks real cool.
He does.
Cypher does do that. He does look real cool.
Does look real cool.
Does look cool.
Anyway, we have one more list to talk about. This is Brad Chester, who is playing a very kind of spicy Space Marines list. He's playing as Dark Angels, and he's got a Vanguard Spearheads. For those who do not know, anyone outside 12 inches of any of these units will be -1 to hit them, and they will get the benefits of cover. He starts off with an Ancient Interminator arm with the Blade Divin Deep, which allows the unit that he attaches to have Infiltrate. Then he has Librarian in Phobos armor with Shadow War Veteran, which is a Vect. For those who do not know, that's a make CP cost more worse. A Ballistus Dreadnought, 2x3 Devastator Centurions. We usually see that as a unit of 6, but he's going 2x3. They've all got las cannons. A single unit of 10 Deathwing Command Squad. 5 Devastators with Grav Cannons, 2 Gladiator Lancers, 3/3/6 Inceptors, which I'm seeing people getting very high on, especially in the Vanguard. 2x5 Scouts.
Probably, is there 1 unit of Bolters in there, or is it all plasma?
Yeah. The big unit's usually the bolters, and the other the plas.
Oh.
And that's to take advantage of their 1 CP plus 1 AP plus 1 to hit stratagem that they've got. So they come down with the bolters into the oath target, hitting on 2s, re-rolling everything with exploding 6s and AP2, and they just go straight to the moon. So yeah, good call there, Paul. 2x5 scouts and 5 infiltrators make up the list. Do you guys get what the ancient does for the? Because of course the ancient has to go with the Deathwing Command Squad. Do you know what the interaction is there?
No, hit us.
So the Deathwing Command Squad naturally has an apothecary in there already, and which lets you res a model. Also has a champion in there who's a little bit better in combat, but also has an ancient already in there. Already has a banner, and that banner gives it OC2. When you touch the ancient, you get OC3. So it's 30 infiltrating OC, and it is actually a lot. It's actually a lot.
Sounds annoying.
It does sound annoying, mate.
That's more than 2 Norn emissaries.
It's true. It is exactly 2 Norn emissaries.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, he's just going to be like, there's 30 OC. Deal with it. And then he just looks at his clock. Yeah.
You mentioned the last cannons on there. That seems to be the go-to. A lot of players are taking.
Yeah, I'm starting to hear people thinking that in teams, the Centurions with the Grav are a bit more intimidating. Like, you just can't put knights into them. You can't use your knights. Even Votan, especially with all the Sagittars and the land fortresses and stuff, can really get punished. But in singles, I think the las cannons are generally better. I don't know how you guys see it, but that's my take.
Why do you say the las cannons are generally better for singles?
So the anti-vehicle 2+ from the Grav and the AP1 really can kind of hold it back if you're not playing against into a vehicle meta. I mean, some of the best armies in the game do have a bunch of vehicles, but they're not vehicles that, are make or break. I mean, if I'm just shooting freaking a Rhino with some Chosen in it with my Grav cannons, that's a waste of time. Of course, if I get some Forge Fiends, that's great. But there's a bunch of games where they just don't do that much. Whereas the las cannon is good into, like you said, I'm playing against Nids, the las cannons are still good. I'm playing against Necrons, the las cannons, las cannons are good in Necrons. You know what I mean? There's a bunch of ones I can reel off. Demons, for example. Primarchs, there's a bunch of Primarchs rocking around. Angron, Grav does nothing. Magnus, Grav does nothing. Mortarion, Grav does nothing. There's a bunch of matchups here where Grav can be bad, whereas las cannon just kind of sits good. So it's good all the time.
Yeah, it does. It goes in. You get a random Imperial Guard player too. You pop some.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay. I'm down.
But yeah,
I get you.
This is an interesting. This looks like a first press take because I'm quietly still of the opinion that the Deathwing Knights are better than the Command Squad, even with OC 30. But I do actually really like he split the Devastator Centurions into 2x3. I actually think that's quite a good idea. So the reason that Devastating Centurions are so good, boys, is because they get re-rolls to hit already. They don't need Oath of Moment. And with the CP strat, they hit on 2s re-rolling 1s. So then that means that your other units can start hunting whatever has Oath of Moment on them, and the Centurions can do autonomous things and just operate in and of themselves. And of course, they're great to walk in from a reserve and get an angle down the board as well. And then they're quite frustrating to remove. But that is the 3 lists I picked out from the Cali Cup.
Yeah, and those are 3 great players too, and we know there's a whole bunch of great players in this, so it's going to be very difficult to pick. This is the part of the show where we pick which player or which faction we think is going to win it. We then, one of the things we dissect in the after show, if you happen to join us on Patreon, is how close we came to those predictions each and every week. Of course, we're always right.
Always. Yeah. We just wrapped up the October scoring. It was a very tight race. One of us won and 2 of us drew, so there is no true loser.
Nice.
But the scores came out 6-9-6, and so we got to say nice.
Nice.
We did it, boys. And so, but yeah, who's going to pick first? Let me say it's just not going to be Dustin. So, Paul, would you like to pick first?
I don't know why it's not me.
Who would know?
What the hell?
I got to go with Cast Space Marines.
I think that is a good pick. That is a very
Yeah.
good pick, yeah. There's still some very strong Eldari players, and I guess that's where I've got to go. Dustin, what do you want?
Astartes.
And there's no rule. We can actually pick the same thing if we wanted to.
We
but
just
our own
don't.
personal pride.
We have so much pride.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Our own personal pride and hubris that holds us back. Mind you, if we all just picked Eldari for the 3 months that Eldari was unnerved,
True.
it would have been a real boring show, right?
Well, that we did have rules then. We specifically could not pick Eldari.
We vected ourselves from picking Eldari. Actually, that was really spicy. Because we could just T-Suns, let's go. And then bang. So it happens. That was fun. All right.
But it really is, it's like it comes down to the skill of the pilot, and of course the strength of the list, and some other factors as well. But I love it that it's a real healthy meta out there right now, and that makes like we're using some benefit of knowing some of the players. We're doing the benefit of knowing some of the strong lists, and of course, if y'all listen, y'all see which lists and stuff are prevalent and do well. But it's still anybody's game out there right now. I mean,
absolutely.
Let's not forget that Adeptus Sororitas won a giant tournament not that long ago.
It's true.
Exactly right. And people, there's a bunch of the balanced data slate reinvigorated people so much. There's a bunch of stuff people are sleeping on with all their attention going to Eldar and CSM to much extent that they get exposed when you just have a left of field, faction master just coming in, swinging for the fences.
Yeah. Next one we're going to talk about.
Service good.
GT in Talavera from Talavera, Spain. 552 players, 92 teams, of 6 for a 6-round event. When we read out the factions here, typically in team tournaments, you cannot use the same faction more than once. And so, there would not be more than 92 of any particular faction. So be curious to see how close we get to that halfway point with some of these factions.
And what's our usual rule of thumb, gents?
50%.
Yeah, if they get to 50%, that's one of the best factions in the people. That's something that the population here thinks is one of the best factions in the game.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you get to about 50% representation.
That's what 46 would be 50%.
Yeah.
2 teams. Yeah. Okay. So keep an eye out for anything that's 46 or over, because that is what Spain considers to be the best armies in the game. So, starting with the Imperial Superfaction, there are 10 Sisters of Battle, 24 Custodes, 5 Admech, 29 Astra Militarum, 26 Grey Knights, and 15 Imperial Knights. Space Marines, there's 31 Adeptus Astartes, 17 Dark Angels, 8 Space Wolves, 9 Blood Angels, 1 Death Watch, and 9 Black Templar. That ends up being 75 Space Marines. So it's not, it kind of counts towards that because it's Space Marines, but you know what I mean. Anyway, Chaos. There's 36 Chaos Space Marines, 17 T-Suns, 36 Death Guard, 9 World Eaters, 18 Demons, 29 Chaos Knights. Xenos, there's 42 Necrons, very, very close. 21 Orcs, 32 Tau, 22 Votan. Hive Mind, there's 45 Tyranids. One off of the 50%.
I'm counting that.
I count that. 8 Gene Stealer cult. And then Eldari, there is 6 Drukhari, and can you guess if they're going to be over? 59 Eldari, meaning the faction podium is Eldari topping it off with 59, being the only one that is over 50%. Tyranid is very close behind 50% at 45. The Necrons at 42, Death Guard and CSM at 36, and then Tau in 5th with 32. What do you think of that spread?
Really, really interesting spread. I think our rule of thumb, and from looking at this, works to a point, right?
Yeah.
When you get to 92 teams, you just run out of stuff. Like you just run out of stuff. Just for the lols, there is 118,000 points of Eldari being played at this event, with 59 players playing 2,000 point armies, assuming they're all 2,000 points, which they won't be. 118,000 points of Eldari. Yuck.
Wow.
It's a lot of Wraith Guard. A lot of Night Spinners.
Dead set, man. That is like so many of those. Does anything here? I mean, I've got to say to Dustin in particular, Tyranids in teams, mate. Explain, why are they being in so high demand?
Well, actually, we talked about this on the second part of our Patreon just yesterday.
What a coincidence.
What a coincidence. But I actually feel, and Dorian just asked in the chat too, is there a standardized NIDS build? No. But in my opinion, the Vanguard is one of the best team lists you can bring for NIDS because it has some of the best disruption and the ability to take out your opponent's points in the game right now. But it is such a steep learning curve. It is very hard to pilot. And you look at that list, like most Vanguard lists, look like that looks like trash. Von Ryan's Leapers, what? No, like it's very hard to pilot, but
Look
The
at this guy
Tristan
showing up
has-
with a starter set.
Exactly.
yeah.
It has so much ability to disrupt your opponent and to prevent them from scoring points, which means in a team event, you can get huge differentials with it. And in a team event, you can make sure that you get one of those matchups that you can screw them up, because they can screw up some good armies. There are good armies that that kind of tyranny list can do that. And that said, there are other good lists. The Endless Swarm is also a very good teams list. Even the Synaptic Power one, it's still good. That's more of a singles list. So like if you're more comfortable with this as a singles NIDS, then that works too. But to me, Endless Swarm and Vanguard are the two top team lists for NIDS, and both of them can get really good results in team events.
Absolutely. We've got to say, what a juxtaposition between a singles event and a teams events for Necrons. 100 players, 1 Necron. 500 players, 42 Necrons. Just like 42 teams thought and rated Necron as something that they must take. And is that just because with a little bit of pairings nuance, a little bit of control, you get them around and away from Chaos Space Marines in particular,
and Votan. You need to get
Votan,
yeah.
And they're just like go straight to the moon. Yep. Unstoppable forces.
That seems solid.
Is that all it is?
I think it is. Paul?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. It's what we're talking about is in a team tournament, you have some control over how your pairings work, like what each player will end up playing. There's a little bit of control in that. Now, it's that you don't get to necessarily pick your opponent, but you get to pick from a choice of a couple of opponents for most of your matchups, and or what you might think is your difficult matchups. And so you have a little bit of hand in your fate that does not exist in a singles event. Let's run down a couple of the teams we're going to see there.
Yes, indeed. So I did pick out 2 teams. We have done a couple of Spanish teams in the past, team events in the past, and there's always been one team we've looked at every single time because they're always a good place to track, and they're always a perennial contender. This is Feel No Pain 7+.
Yeah.
That's it. Always, we do them every time because they're always looking at what's going on in Spain, what the Spanish meta thinks is up top tier. And they start off with Necrons. They got an Awakened Dynasty detachment, 10 Lich Guard plus full support with Death Marks, 10 Flayed Ones. It's actually interesting they got the Death Marks and the Flayed Ones, some Destroyers, some Heavy Destroyers, and 2x6 Tomb Blades. It's like a bit of a multiple medium-sized unit skew. Like everything's got multiple wounds, decent toughness. None of that. There's pretty much no single wood units in there that they care about. They're all multi-wound, high toughness anyway.
When you say full support, you mean the characters, the lords that back them up.
Yeah, exactly right. A Reanimator, etc.
Technomancer.
Technomancer, Crypto Thralls, stuff that. And when we go through the teams list, naturally we don't have time to go through everyone line by line. That would take way too long. And then by the time we've finished it, you've forgotten what the first ones were. So we want to try and get it all on the same screen for you, so you can absorb at least what the feel of the list is. And we try to display that as much as possible. So when I say stuff like MSU Aspect Warriors, just assume there's some Spectres and some Warp Spiders and stuff in there. If I say full support and Necron unit, just assume there's Crypto Thralls, Technomancer, and a Lord with a Resorb and a Reanimator, stuff like that. A Traitorous Lance with Chaos Knights, 1 Stalker, 6 Brigands, 5 Carnivores, Blue Scribes, and Celeste. So opening up the fixed objective game much more for them. We have a T-Suns list, Cult of Magic, Magnus and Ahriman, 3 Exalted Sorks. They've got Infernal Masters as well. But then the rest of it is pretty much just rubrics. A single unit of 10 rubrics, and then 5 units of 5 rubrics and a single Rhino, making for a pretty lean but still quite lethal package. We've got a Tau list from Carrion, of course. Anvar and an Ethereal. First time I've seen both in a list, which is interesting. A single Cold Star Commander, 2 units of 2 broadsides, 3 units of Crisis Suits, 1 Max, 2 Min, that being 633, 3 units of Tetras, and 2 Piranhas. Eldari Battle Host with Illic, Fugan, Yin Khan, 3 Hornets, 2 Spinners, and then MSU Aspect Warriors. And then lastly, we have a combined regiment from Astra Militarum with Leontis, Creed, 2 max units of Bulgrin, which even from last week, boys, when we started seeing all the Astra Militarum lists in the Polish event at Pirate Cup, every one of them had at least 1, if not 2 units of Bulgrin, a Nurse Shaker, 2 Medusa Carriages, single Hellhound, 3 Manticores, a Caladius, and actually has an Armiger Warglaive in there, which I thought was cute.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually don't hate that idea.
I mean, it's OC8 and can stand on a backfield objective and just dare people to come get it.
You just smacked that nail on the head. The OC8, baby. That's what it's there for, I reckon. To just be like a little OC bomb to throw out and disrupt something when they're like, I'm not quite sure if I can kill you, so I'm just going to make you stop holding the objective. Because, there's nothing you can really do with guard to get that effect with OC8 or OC more than 5 and be hard to kill. You can put 10 guardsmen on there, but then no one's going to give a crap about killing 10 guardsmen.
Yep.
But yeah, perfectly said, mate. What do we think of this 6-pack?
It's interesting and not the 6-pack that I would be picking
No.
myself, right? Like,
No.
aside from the Eldari, probably the Necrons.
But even the Necrons is a weird take.
Even the Necrons is a weird tech, actually, looking at it. Like, honestly, once I see the full Lich Guard or Warrior Breakers, like, yeah, sure, whatever else is fine then. Like, just
Well, Fugan, he's creeping into list.
Yeah, so he has the same ability that the Phoenix Gem gives, right? Where he gets back up on death.
He gets back up on it too. Plus, he's Melta 4 or Melta 6.
Mm-hmm.
Melta 6, yeah.
We have seen so many people finding this tech piece in other lists. Selesky does the same thing. There's a relic for Votan that does the same thing. You put on an Iron Here champion, or is it a strat? I can't remember. Sisters doing the same thing. People finding ways to get back on death.
Dominants do it. Just saying.
On very. No one cares.
Wow. Apparently not, because there's not many.
Bang bang. I'm sorry. We do care. We do care.
No, you don't.
Where's that trophy you got the other week? Where's the trophy?
Oh, here it is.
Yeah. I knew it.
Everybody here cares now. That's right.
It's a powerful effect, and so when you see it in your book, like take notice. And some top players are gravitating towards those type of effects now to help them win these objectives. And you find yourself losing out on secondaries by a few points. What if you had a cool character that came back to life?
Yeah. Yep.
Turns out it's really good at doing some secondaries.
Really good at getting you points and frustrating your opponent.
Yeah.
What I really kind of head scratch moment when this one was like, wait a minute, this doesn't have Chaos Space Marines, was pretty much where I got to, where I was like, this does not have Chaos Space Marines. And if I was to take it, which one would I get rid of? I'm not sure there is one, because I think this is an interesting 5-pack, 6-pack for a reason. The Thousand Suns is the only one that's an interesting take. That list looks really lean on the table. It's only got rubrics and characters. So Assassinate is just like every single unit of those rubrics is going to have a character in with it. So every single unit of the rubrics is worth points for days. And that's the only one that kind of gives me pause. Apart from that, the rest of the 6-pack is really strong and well-rounded. I'm wondering if anybody in chat or any of you guys know, what's the Anvar plus Ethereal combo? Why are you taking both?
I actually don't know. I'm curious about that myself.
Yeah, I got no idea. It's the first time I've seen both.
To be honest, I don't think, because this is the first time you've been able to actually do that together, right? Before it was one or the other.
No,
you could take. You just generally only need one of.
I think you're thinking about like what's his name?
Farsight.
That's it. Yeah.
Can't go with ethereals.
That's what I was thinking. Right.
So when this model's leading a unit, the models need to have 5+ feel no pain. And in your command phase, roll a d6 on a 4+, you gain a CP.
Can he lead Crisis?
Breach teams and strike teams, of which he does have one in this list, which I did not list. No. So 5 feel no pain on the breaches, and they do have a double fish as well. So I don't know, it's a nice little package.
Durability. It's nice.
Yeah, nice little package.
It makes it a little bit more annoying to get rid of, that's for sure.
And then Anvar is hilarious. Once per battle, each time an attack targets this unit, you can use this ability. If it does, you get a 2+ invulnerable save. Just goes into hologram mode. It's like, I'm not actually here. And then has -1 to hit and -1 to wound when targeted. And then, once per game, a 2+ invuln. And then while a friendly Tear Empire unit is in 6 of this unit, each time the unit takes a battle shock test, add 1 to that test. So it is, once again, remember how we used to throw Celestine out on an objective and just be like, she's really hard to kill. She's bodyguarded, but if you can kill her, she just gets back up. Well, this is I guess this is Anvar is Tau's version of of Fugan of the Phoenix Gem, because like once per game, just chuck him on an objective with a 2+ invulnerable save. He's just going to get you points and be that thing that stands in the middle of the board and doesn't instantly die.
I mean, unless you're me and roll that like you roll Shadowfield saves, like I fell the first one.
Yeah, first one is a fail.
This could be a theme here with this whole team is to how can I cheat death? That's basically it, because we've got Creed there to give the free reinforcements.
Yes.
You've got Fuegan there. We just discussed some of that with the Tau. I don't know what you can do in Thousand Suns.
You just picked up on a theme, because Necrons absolutely do this. Selesky added into the Chaos Knights do this. I don't know about the T-Suns, but Anvar does this, Fugan does this, and I know they got the Phoenix Gem as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, dude, you just picked up on a sub-theme in this 6-pack. Yeah. Well done.
They're playing for round, to be there on turn 5.
Yes.
Maybe they should change their name from Feel No Pain 7+ to Get Up 2+.
Yeah. Anyway, let's hit a swipe to the next one. This is Team Conclave, and this is essentially made up of WTC Team Spain players from this year. They're all essentially everyone here played for Spain, as far as I can tell. I did not check all 6. I checked about 4 of them and stopped, but here we are. First up, we have Blood Angels Paul. Yeah, baby. He is playing a Gladius, but this is very Blood Angel-y. He's got Lamartis, 6 Aggressors, Path Apothecary. Pretty much goes without saying. 10-5-5 Death Company with Jump Axe. So 3 units of Death Company, baby, with Lamartis, good stuff. 6-3-3 Inceptors and a Libby Dread. It's got some other bits and pieces there, like the Scouts and the Infiltrators and stuff.
There's got to be something for the Librarian Dread to throw at people. So
well, it's I think it's the Aggressors and then the and then turn 1 it could be Death Company, small units of Death Company to trade in the middle, and then bang, here the Aggressors come. Cop that. Another Tau list with Anvar. 2 Cold Star Commanders, the same 2x2 broadsides, a big unit of 6 and unit of 3 Crisis, and then he's got a couple more support pieces. Once again, he's 1 Fisher Fury as well. I did not list, but 3 Piranhas, 3 units of Tetras. The Necrons list from them is 2x10 Lich Guard with full character support, that being Technos, Cryptos, etc. 2 Hexmark Destroyers as well. I guess still concerned about the GSC matchup, I'd assume.
Not even. Those are just great at doing secondaries.
They're just good, right? They're just plain good. 3 and 1 heavy destroyers, and he's got a monolith. What a lad!
Wow!
How did I ever never did I expect?
They play on WTC terrain. Could that thing even fit? Like, can it move?
I have to. I mean, I would assume that they are, but I've been wrong before, so I don't want to. Yeah. Anyway, next up we have a Ynnari Battle Host, Yin Khan and Yvrain, 3 Night Spinners, 10 Wraith Blades, boys.
Ooh.
I don't mind that.
The second part of that word is different.
Yeah, I don't mind that. They're pretty. I mean, what high toughness, decent, number of attacks. They can fall back and charge. I think there's some other little rule they get too.
They're pretty savage in combat, and then allied, because it's Ynnari, it's blended. He's got 3x5 Scourges in this as well.
I mean, that and Mandrakes are the best reason to Ynnari.
Yeah, well, he's got 1 unit of Mandrakes. And
there you go. See,
yeah. Bang. We know things. That's it.
That's what Adam's trying to do to us. He's wanting us to find.
That's true.
He's planning these.
He's testing us.
It's a mystery we're solving.
It's like Hansel and Gretel. I'm leading you 2 boys to my cottage made of gingerbread. Tyranids, Synaptic Nexus, Death Leaper, Winged Prime, and a Tyrant, Walking Tyrant. 2 Exocrines, 2 Norn Emissaries, and 2x3 Zoanthropes make up the archetype. I actually like this a lot in teams. The Norns in teams seem jacked. But I'll get your special comments in a moment, Dustin. Thousand Suns list, Cult of Magic, pretty similar to the previous one. 2 Infernal Masters instead of the 3rd Exalted Sork. Magnus Ironman as well. 5x5 rubrics, a Rhino, a Mutalith Vortex Beast, and the Changeling make up that one as well. But yeah, Thousand Suns make it into both of these. No Chaos Space Marines making it into either of these ones, which is very surprising to me. But special comments, Dustin. What do you think of that Synaptic Nexus?
That is a very interesting take on Synaptic Nexus, is what I have to say. Doing Norns, multiple Norns in teams, like you said, there is definitely that's a bully thing to do.
It really is, isn't it?
Because if you get that into a list that can't deal with them, those are you win primary. There's literally nothing they can do.
Yeah, you might as well turn off the objectives for your opponent. Like, these only score for me now, sir.
These 2 things sit on these 2 objectives. Let's play with the rest of the armies over here. See how you do against 1,400 points. 1,400 points. Yeah, 1,420 points.
I like that.
I like that a lot. Paul, what do you think of the Blood Angels list there? Because that is, I mean, one thing that Balanced Data Slate did a lot for, especially Blood Angels, it lets you have more Blood Angels in your Blood Angel list.
That always helps when you can actually play with Blood Angel units too in the Blood Angels list to feel like it. I think we can actually do a bit of dissection around like how many different styles of list are people actually getting some success with the Blood Angel list, and we might do that on another show coming up soon.
Good idea. It's a very good idea.
Foreshadowing.
Right. But I like the fact that there's also mobility and like some actual like marine stuff in here, like with the inceptors that folks are we know have seen good, like that exact configuration we've seen in even another list in this episode. And we've been talking about the Librarian Dread for a long time because it's got that ability to teleport units. You're jumping things all over the place.
Yeah, man. And from turn 1, Like when everyone else will have their reserves waiting, ingressing on turn 2, etc., etc. You're just like start the stuff on the table, pseudo drop potting.
And the aggressors, there's that picture floating around of the Blood Angel aggressor. That's why I got some aggressors originally. But they're a shooting unit, basically shooting, but they also have Power Fist. It's very Blood Angel. Very.
They get good. Sorry, Dustin.
And the apothecary they run with is the apothecary biologist, which doesn't heal anybody. He's only there.
He's the harmacist. Is what we call
there we
him.
go.
The harmacist.
That's a great harmacist.
Yeah,
Lethal,
the harmacist.
Yeah, he's carrying around a jug of residue he scrapes off of dead Marines, I guess, and is all about just splashing on lethal hits.
Spot on. Sorry, Dustin. We'll try again.
So what's with the Gladius though? Because that was what it usually it was before the Codex, right? So is it just something that Blood Angels can suddenly do now because the Codex came out? The Gladius didn't really change, did it? It just Oath got worse for him. Is the only thing that really changed.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. The Oath pretty much only got changed. The Gladius stayed exactly the same. So it was pointed out previously in the chat. Someone said that Blood Angels list is a singles list. You were absolutely correct. This Blood Angels list is a singles list. Because the Gladius, I think, is still a very strong contender for an all-comers meta. Same as the Invasion Fleet for Tunics.
Yep.
G-Dub has done a very clever thing here that we haven't noticed until now, where the first detachment they gave most of us in the indexes is the most well-rounded, as it's shown to be the case in the first 2 codexes. We'll see if it holds true for the rest, but definitely those first 2 codexes, the Invasion Fleet and the Gladius, are still the best kind of. You want to just do a little bit of everything.
Well, I mean, the Doctrines, that's the only one you get. The
Necrons are coming, right?
Yeah, it's the only one everyone else has got. Yeah. But anyway, very strong 5-pack. Some very interesting tech in these as well to unpack at your leisure. And you can definitely get all the show notes for this event and many others over on our Patreon, which is the Warhammer Meta Chasers. We have 3 beautiful tiers for you to join in and support us on. The first tier being just a couple of bucks thrown our way. We'll get you the show notes for this and, of course, access to our Discord where you can ask us any questions. Tell us if you're attending any events we are covering or ask what we are covering for the coming week. And then if you tick up to our second or third tier, you'll get a whole second part of this episode, which is the look back, where at least 2 of us sit down and we look at the events that we have covered, what won, what was the top 10, what did well, what didn't do well, break down at least one list that was either unexpected or was it a shining beacon of an example of what you can take for XYZ faction to do well.
Seeing the trends of the top 10, I think, is
exactly
very, very valuable if you're like curious about that thing or trying to figure out what to take into the next list where that meta is going.
Exactly right. Scary just joined us in the chat. He's one of our lovely patrons. Thank you very much for your support, mate. And thank you everyone who has supported us thus far. Jump in and please support us if you can. We greatly and deeply appreciate it.
Every tier is amazing. This is also the section where we would talk about sponsors, but we're sponsoring ourselves right now. But that may look, we got somebody reach out. Well, we'll talk about that. It should be cool. So this is the point in the show also where we change gears to go to something like a palate cleanser after we've been talking about the crunchy stats. Oh, wait, no, we didn't pick winners.
We didn't pick winners.
Oh, my goodness. I got distracted by the cool stuff we're talking about, and then we're, check us out on the Patreon. But no, in a team event, we couldn't possibly do justice to all 92 teams. But for team events, we pick the faction we think is going to score the highest battle points. And that's how we judge ourselves on this one. And I think first last time. So, Adam?
With 59 Eldari, I'm just putting that in. Dustin, where are you going?
That's. Did you pick Paul?
I didn't.
No, he goes. He picked first last time, so he goes last. We shuffle. We shuffle.
And you
what you got, Dustin?
Took Eldari?
I did.
Shocking. I will take CSM.
Shocking as well. Yeah. Dusty. Paul. What do you want, mate?
I'm gonna go with World Eaters.
Ooh, that's not a bad pick actually. World Eaters with some with a good pairings head, can be an absolute menace.
Definitely,
we'll go with that. So now the thing I was talking about, where we a little palate cleanser after talking about the crunchy stats and the numbers and things and places and stuff. A segment we call the Fuego Rapido, where we give ourselves a series of topics to run down. We give ourselves a time, 2 minutes each, to chat about those things, given the hot takes. And then at the end of that 2 minutes, we drop it because it is hot and move on to the next one. Never to return to it again.
Ever.
Unless you're a Patreon subscriber and you ask us to.
Speaking of which, we did get a request to do a full Blood Angel Fuego.
We did.
We did. Couldn't do it this week. Unfortunately, didn't have enough time to get good questions for it. So that's on the docket for next week. So make sure you tune into that one because I wanted to make sure it wasn't lazy Blood Angel questions. I wanted to make some good ones, especially since we have Paul here.
Yeah. What's the best color of helmet?
What's the best?
Is it yellow?
Is it? Oh no,
Yellow's pretty good. Gold though
Yellow's
is
pretty good.
probably means
yellow looks amazing if you can paint it right. And I have seen some amazing yellows for sure.
Well, my two favorite Blood Angel schemes is the yellow helmet Blood Angels. Which company? I don't know which company that is.
That's the assault. Any assault marine is a yellow helmet.
Yeah, those. I think those are like my art teacher when I was in high school used to paint Blood Angels, and those are the first ones he ever showed me, and I was just like, wow, these are amazing.
And if you're the elite, like you were the honor guard, you'd have gold helmets.
Gold
on your red armor.
What's blue?
Blue is heavy weapon.
They look pretty
it's not
good.
necessarily devastators. It's heavy weapon marines have blue helmets.
Interesting. Okay, I learned something today. I like learning things.
So when the leader's looking out over the force, he can tell, like, you probably can hold a missile launcher. You go that way.
Yeah.
You pick up the missile launcher and fire it. You look like you can do it because you're blue. All right. So today's Fuego's theme is food you like and things you don't. The next week it will be full Blood Angels.
Oh, nice.
Full Blood Angels. You know Paul's going to be up all in for that one.
That's it.
All right. First question. What food best represents your personality?
I'm a total hamburger.
Total hamburger.
Just a basic, like.
No, he's gonna have like some kind of like cheese on there, or bacon, lettuce. Come on,
that's what I meant. Like to me, a burger is is lettuce, tomato, cheese, burger patty.
A good burger
sauce.
just needs the burger itself, and I do like a smash burger with like the lattice around the edges, but just maybe a couple of onions, a little bit of lettuce, a burger sauce or some mustard and ketchup and mayonnaise.
Saute them onions.
Nice pickle.
Just cut the onions and put them on there.
Yeah.
I prefer cooked actually.
Cooked
raw onions.
Yeah, definitely.
Needs a pickle. I'm a pickle man.
Yeah,
yes. Gotta pickle.
Gotta have a pickle on there.
Yeah.
But are you also a total hamburger? Like, what are you?
I'm no. I'm I'm a bowl of noodle soup or something. Probably like a bolognese.
Wow.
Yeah. Spaghetti.
Well, you're a bolognese. Really?
I'm probably a bolognese.
Why
as in the sauce is complex, and it takes a lot of work to put in. But then it's just slapped on the most basic everyday foods imaginable.
Yeah. Otherwise known as bolognese.
Bolognese, yeah. Bolognese, yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say ramen, which is my favorite food, but I am not ramen. I am in no way as royal or as spectacular.
You just fake it for the ramen.
That's it. Fake it for the ramen.
I'm a meatball soup, not just a meatball. I'm a meatball soup because you think it's healthy when you hear soup, but then you realize, oh, actually, it's just meat.
Meatball soup?
Yeah. Meatball soup, buddy. It's an Italian thing. I'm gonna make that tomorrow, actually.
Yeah. I mean,
I guess are there meatballs in Italian wedding soup? I think there are.
Yeah, absolutely, there is. That's a different kind of soup, but yes.
Like you think about all like Asian dumpling soups, they're all essentially meatball soups, right? You just put something around. You just put something around the meatball. Just dressing the meatball up a bit.
It's true. Fuego.
They are delicious, though.
You're putting a suit on the meatball and putting a different suit. That's all it is. Next up, what is your favorite restaurant?
Ooh.
Don't name some weird thing that's only in Australia, but I guess you kind of
have.
Some weird thing. Outback.
There's a bunch of
Outback Steakhouse.
No, I have had only fun experiences at Outback Steakhouse though.
That's good.
Like,
wait, do they have Outback Steakhouse in Australia? Because that seems a little on the nose.
No.
Okay.
No,
good.
they don't.
Just making sure. That would have seemed weird.
Mind you, we do have some pretty good American smokehouse restaurants here.
Okay.
That are legit. Like, it's very hard to get.
To say the exact favorite restaurant because there's some good ones, and depending on where you
style,
go. The one we go to consistently though is a place called Taco Mac. We don't get tacos or Mac. It's a wing place.
Wait, what?
You just get wings.
Yep. And then Mexican restaurant there's a place near here that's certainly more on the authentic style called El Taco Azteca. We enjoy going to that one.
Is that also is that like an Italian place?
It's an actual. It actually does what it says on the sign. That's
I like a place called Mr. Ramen-san. Yeah, you cannot book. You just rock up and you wait as long as you wait. Or sometimes if you pick it well, you don't wait at all. You walk in, you sit down, your QR code, your thing, you just chuck it in. Nothing costs more than $15, and then within about sometimes 3 minutes of chucking your thing in, you just bowl of ramen gets slapped on your table, eat it, go about your day. Beautiful.
Okay. My usual go-to, if I have to pick a restaurant name, because there's a restaurant style that I love more than anything. I love Brazilian steakhouses. I love those. They are so good.
Just love.
Keep bringing me steak. Hey, you want some more steak? Yeah.
Fogo de Chao is my favorite of that vein of things.
I've enjoyed it. I have been to ones where they've been real stingy, and I have to be like, no, you're
That's
cutting
a story
some
for
more.
another day. We're out of time.
That's just weird. That's just weird.
That's it.
It's not okay. Next up, what food do you avoid at all costs?
I don't avoid much.
I don't eat fish. I
Like
typically don't eat fish.
Like at all?
Not really. No.
Seafood, or
Do you actually just avoid it, or are you just? Nah?
Well, I mean, I do often get a choice in what I order.
That's true. Okay,
or
sure.
make. So, not all the time, of course.
You just live by Ron's. What is it? Parks and Rec. Ron's pyramid of so where fish is for sport and gaming only. Fish meat is essentially a vegetable. Was that on Parks and Rec? It was good. It was a good line.
I know what you're talking about though.
But like I'll eat shrimp and lobster or something like that. But not often.
Well, those aren't
typically
fish,
not
are
often,
they? They're
but
crustaceans. Is that different?
No,
It
fish.
is.
Yeah, they're different. They're different.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I see. I genuinely don't avoid much. I eat everything. Like I eat offal. I eat game. I eat. Shit. I'd eat insects. If you told me it was delicious, I'd give it a crack.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I'd give it a go. Yeah, I'll try. I'll eat like mostly anything. So I'm a bit of a garbage compactor when it comes to.
Carrots got beets.
Beets. Okay.
Beets. Yeah, that's fair. Boiled. Any boiled vegetable.
In England, there's a lot of boiled.
We didn't. I didn't grow up too flash, and a lot of the time dinner was just like, here is some meat and then a bunch of over boiled carrots and zucchini and stuff, and it just nah, do not want.
For me,
I'm a texture eater, and
that's
so
yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, for sure. For me, I actually have to avoid peppers, and it's not because I don't like them; it's because they don't like me.
Oh, your guts get a bit pepped up, eh?
My gut get really pepped up, and it's bad. I got like some serious heartburn. Can't have that. That's the way to go. Next up, the one thing you own that you wish you didn't, Warhammer related.
Warhammer related.
Yeah.
I have a very badly cast Mastodon.
Really?
I didn't buy it. It's legit. I didn't buy it firsthand though. I got it secondhand from a mate. He said he had it. Didn't tell. Well, former mate. He said he had it. Didn't tell me how bad a condition and how warped and how awful it had gotten. I don't know if it came from Forge World like this or it was sitting in the sun, but it is pretty much unsalvageable. And I paid a pretty penny for it. So that is my big old regret.
Getting over their heat gun.
I'm not sure even that's going to fix it. I will give that a go one day, but I just know how big a job it's going to be, and therefore I've had it for 2 years and have not touched it. So yeah,
I'm looking around to try to find something that like particularly offends me or whatever. That's what I'm doing.
This offense. If you could immediately see it like in your line of vision while you're doing podcasts,
he keeps it there on purpose.
That's true. Like I hate you so much. Whenever to be angry,
sometimes the rage has to carry you through some of this.
Right? You are a Blood Angel player, right? So that kind of makes sense.
That's true.
That's how you get your blood rage.
It's just got a Horus sitting up.
That Horus right there. Yeah, Cypher.
I have painted a Rotigus that I've never used in a game. It looks great. I've just never ever used it in the game of Warhammer, but I don't wish I didn't own it. I love it, and I love the journey of painting that and clean one. But that's I look up there and it reminds me of like I should put that on the table sometime.
Okay, Adam, do your Mastodon
Mastodon, yeah. Mad regrets.
I still get mad regrets. For me, and I hate saying this now. This is only a very recent thing, but for me, I wish I didn't own all of these freaking old Biovores and Pyrovores because they're absolutely useless to me now. I have
What do you mean?
so many of them.
Just put them on the right size.
That is not how it works with them. They are so much bigger now. It is ridiculous.
Fuego.
And the last but not least, the one thing you wish you own that you wish you didn't, that is not Warhammer related.
Ooh.
What offends you that is not part of Warhammer? That's in your house. Everybody immediately looks around.
I know.
I hate it here.
Recently gone through several purges, and I think I've gotten rid of most of it.
Okay. Well, you could say something that you just purged. Then that I think that's okay because it happened recently enough, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what. Actually, can I just flip this a little bit? Like the
Sure.
thing that I actually hate getting rid of are cool T-shirts that don't fit anymore.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, that actually makes me sad too. Just things that are really cool that you like that you were collecting, but at some point you're like, I really shouldn't keep this anymore. Like it's just sitting in its box collecting dust.
Like DVDs.
Yeah.
Like
VHS.
Rome season 1 and 2 on DVD.
That was a great show. That was a great show.
That was a great show, but it's never getting watched again. When are you going to crack out a DVD player?
I have all the original Robotech on VHS, man. That's still just sitting in the box. Like I'm never gonna watch this again on VHS.
Yeah, I have all the Robotech. I got them all on. I had them on VHS at one point, but I eventually got them on DVDs. They're also in this house right now.
Outrageous.
Yeah, that's fair.
I wonder if I do. I don't know if I mean, I don't buy shit. I'm pretty frugal. I don't buy stuff unless I really need it.
You have a mucked up Mastodon.
I do.
You can't say that.
That's
we know
true.
You're lying.
I have a full Custodes army, like many of us do, sitting in the drawer that I kind of regret because I'm like, I'm probably never going to do it. But I mean, at least it's like it's a full army. It's only in one drawer, so that's like a win.
Okay. Yeah, for me, it's all these. I have a lot of VHS, like a lot, and I just can't get rid of. My wife is giving me a look right now.
Fuego.
And that is our Fuego.
Oh, that's our show this week. It's been a fun one. We had 2 great tournaments talked about. Make sure you tune into War Games Live, see some coverage of that stuff. Consider subbing to us on Patreon, but if that's not your thing right now, any like, share, subscribe on YouTube, a comment, that kind of stuff. If you're listening to us on the podcast aggregators after the fact, leave us those 5-star reviews. Those are the things that, like, you're actually speaking to the algorithm. We get to see it too, and it means a lot. But we get to also maybe get pushed out there into the ether for some other folks to also maybe come and join. We have an amazing chat community. If you only listen to us after the fact, come maybe listen to us live. Chat keeps us honest. We love chatting with y'all during the real time as well. It means a whole lot. Until then, that's our show this week. We're going to be back next week with more great events.
And a Blood Angel Fuego.
Yeah.
See y'all soon, everybody.
See you later.